we are fighting the fight of our lives, as the Attorney General said, because people will die as a result of this proposed federal cut. Children will die.
Yes.
Parents of young families will die. Those who are in frail health will die. Elderly people will die. That's what this is all about if the Attorney General and his colleagues are not successful in reversing this decision. This is one of the most appalling things I've ever heard of a government turning against its own people and the neediest and most vulnerable of its own people. And this is why I think we need to look at what it is the Trump administration is actually looking to do, apart from what it says it's attempting to do. It talks about looking for government efficiencies and cutting waste, and that is a cynical cover for what it is looking to do, which is to disable government from providing the services that government should be providing, and then to blame that government for being ineffective and unable to provide those services as a way to discredit it and to limit it. The operating principle behind all of this was stated by Grover Norquist some time ago when he said that I want to see government shrink to be small enough that it can be strangled in the bathtub. That's what this is all about, not about government efficiency. People can be sometimes taken in by promises of, oh, we're going to go after government waste and inefficiencies and all that, but that's only a cover. Yeah. What's really going on here is an effort to undermine government's capacity to provide essential services. This has been going on for many years. It accelerated in 1994 with the so-called Gingrich Revolution. It went on hyperspeed in 2010 with the Tea Party movement. A number of Democratic members of Congress have said that colleagues who have been elected since 2010 by the Republican Party in many cases are not at all interested in helping government to function better. They are there to try to throw sand in the gears and disable the government from functioning so that they can discredit it. Just as Norquist said, we even have a few Republicans serving here in the General Assembly who now espouse that view. So this is what this is all about. This is not just a government looking for savings. This is the federal government going for the jugular of its most vulnerable people in the states like Connecticut. So again, I want to thank the Attorney General for being on the front line of this, joining with his colleagues around the country, because they are, at this point, our first line of defense in terms of the legal process. And just let us hope that the legal process will prevail in terms of justice. But frankly, we're worried about that too, because we don't know whether the Trump administration will even honor a decision, even of the U.S. Supreme Court. We know already they found a way to basically brush aside a federal district court decision that the prisoners were already on the plane by the time the judge issued his decision. But what happens if a U.S. Supreme Court decision goes against President Trump? We all know that the case of Marbury versus Madison in 1803 that established the principle of judicial review of acts of Congress was a court decision. The language of it was not in the Constitution itself, but it is one of our most important traditions in terms of the separation of powers and guaranteeing that the powers that control money and resources cannot run roughshod over people's rights as long as the court stands up for the Constitution. But what happens if what happened in 1803 has prevailed since then, in the sense that Thomas Jefferson accepted the decision of Chief Justice John Marshall, finding part of the Federal Judiciary Act of 1789 to be unconstitutional, and even though it went against Jefferson's point of view, he acquiesced. And everyone has done that except for one case where President Andrew Jackson ignored a Supreme Court decision in the 1830s. However, as I said, Trump is not a respecter of anything or anyone, and that's our grave danger. That's what we face here. The Constitution has to prevail, and we have to have the U.S. Supreme Court stand up for that. And that's why we also have to stand up at the state level, as we are trying to do. As the Speaker and the Governor and I on Friday said that we will do all we can to try to mitigate federal cuts where they are not reversed by court decisions. But this is going to be a terrible battle that we're going to be fighting from this point on.